Hey guys, it's been a while. Just wanted to do a quick update video for you guys. Made a couple of moves from the house where I had a few hundred plants to now maybe about 20. So I just wanted to do an update video to show you guys how the plants are doing. So if you guys remember this one, this was a rescue elephant plant here, or tiny jade. Some people call it that, but it's not in the jade family. It's a Portucaria afra. So it's doing pretty well. I had wired it down. It was not as interesting. It was just straight up, and it had lost all of the branches on this side. So I decided to wire this down, make this a side branch, and have a new leader right here, so that will grow upwards. Hoping these branches here will fill in that gap nicely. So it's been doing pretty well this year. So hopefully it continues to grow. I'm letting all of these branches kind of grow out more to thicken, and then you can see where this branch is too thick. I've kind of pruned it all back and just kind of let it get bushy, so it doesn't, the branches don't get thick anymore. And then these will have time to catch up. And then of course we've got this variegated Portucaria afra here. Just starting it, it's going to be a tiny bonsai for now. And it's been doing pretty well. All these plants have been, I've been struggling with mealybugs, so. And then my desert rose, I put all 4 of them into one pot, so they are, sharing soil. This way, the soil doesn't stay wet for too long. The 2 front one is the Thai succulents, and then the 2 in the back are obesum. And all 4 of these I grew from seed. So they're doing well. They flowered a few times this year, which is nice. The 2 in the back did. The succulents still haven't flowered yet, but they're relatively young. Even though they're young, you can see that they've got a pretty impressive caudix compared to the obesums in the back, which grew pretty tall, but not as thick. So then of course we've got this ladyfinger jade. I really like how it's turning out. The shape is awesome. It's got the nice triangular shape here. The branches have come back nicely. It was actually doing really well in the beginning of the season, and then I had the mealybug issue. I used a mixture of alcohol and water and sprayed it on there, and most of the leaves fell off. I did not like that. So yeah, just be careful if you guys are going to do that. I had a friend say that, after you spray it, you should spray it off with water. I don't have that luxury here. I don't have a hose of my own. I moved into a townhouse, so I'm using just a 2-gallon manual pump sprayer, which doesn't get all the bugs. So it's kind of tough. I mean, most of the stuff, if you have it outside, you can use a hose with kind of a slightly strong jet. I would say like a strong shower jet, and you can spray the bugs off, and it would help a lot, but I don't have that. So I've been using a hand sprayer to blast the bugs off. You can see it is healing up nicely. When I pruned it, let's see if we can focus here. When I pruned it, it just left kind of like a flat cut, so I kind of shaped it. As you can see here, it's healing back, kind of shaping it into like a saddle shape. Gives it a less unnatural look. Same with that there, kind of cutting off the sharp edge and kind of forming it a little bit more. But yeah, it's coming along nicely. If you guys have followed the videos, you will see how this guy started. It was super bushy. The branches were growing towards one side. Now you've got a much more natural look, more mature looking tree. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's doing really well. It's still in the original pot that I got it in. I kind of want to keep it in there for sentimental value, you know, trying to keep this plant as it is as much as possible, just working on the shape and making it look nice. So, and then of course I've got my 3 cactus. This one might not have made it, but this one you can see the new growth on it. And the big one did flower for me a couple times this year, and the flowers are very nice, big, about the size of my palm. So, and then we've got this other jade here. This one is probably going on 30 years now, drastically pruned at one point. So you guys can see, I think it was worth it to do the drastic pruning. It used to be very tall, very leggy here, and then the foliage was really up high here and a little more sparse. But as you can see, you know, it's shortened. Now you've got some thicker foliage coming in, and it's only going to get more dense. So we did have a few hailstorms this year that kind of damaged some of the leaves. That's why this one is kind of tied up. If you can see some of the wire and bungee in there. We had some pretty big hail. Some were almost golf ball size that damaged some of the branches and broke some branches off. So it's doing pretty well, recovering. But yeah, that one, so this one and this one came together, and they're both about 30 years old. This one here is probably 15 to 20. This one is a relatively new cutting. Then of course you get over to here. This one recovered nicely. This was also kind of a rescue plant. If you guys remember, all the leaves were scorched because previous owner had just, you know, brought it straight out into full sun, and it got burnt. So I kind of plucked a lot of those off, and as you can see, almost like 99% of the burnt leaves are gone. These are all new leaves. I pruned it back to get a tighter shape. I used the bungee cords to kind of tie the branches together because there were some bare spots and some holes at the top. You can still kind of see through it here, but especially at the top, this hole was huge. I mean, I could probably fit my head through there, but now it's pretty small. You can see the bungees at the bottom there. I tied all the branches together. Give you guys a shot of what the branching looks like there. So I mean, it's pretty big. It's a pretty big plant, as you can see. It's beautiful. It's different than the other jades. This is ripple jade, or ripple or ruffle jade. It has this kind of white powdery covering on the leaves, so it's definitely different. If you compare it to the other one, it's kind of lost some of that with the recent storms, but midsummer, it's got kind of a white dusting on there. This is my baobab tree that I got from seed from a friend. It's doing pretty well this year. It also should have a caudex. It's mostly buried, but looking forward to a huge trunk. I'm leaving it. I'm just letting those branches grow right now, just to help thicken up the trunk. But I plan on chopping, for sure, this one off next year to get some more branching there. This one has already branched. So, and that was the main leader. As you can see, the size difference in the left and the right branch here. The left was the main leader, but something happened to the tip, so it branched out, and you can kind of see it kind of stunted the growth of that branch there. Where the other one I left to grow long, and it became thicker. That's kind of the same idea with the jades. You know, the longer you let, or any plant for that matter, just let the branches grow out to help thicken the base of that branch and the trunk. And then of course here we have the 50-year-old jade plant. If you guys remember it, I found it had no roots. It was basically sitting in a very small concrete block of dirt. It was hard as concrete. So we had to take some drastic measures, cut off all of the dead roots. It had no roots, and then I repotted. The pot that I had it in, I only had one pot. It was a little bit big for my liking. Not sure if you guys remember that, but it's bigger than this one. I decided to put it into a smaller pot with less soil. When I did that, I didn't water it at all. because I was scared of this thing rotting, and I can't take that chance. So I just kind of let it in the soil and didn't water it for a long time. It started to prune itself. It lost some branches. As you can see, it doesn't have as many branches. So it started self-pruning to self-preserve. It doesn't have enough water to sustain it for long, so it started to drop branches, which is fine. We can grow new branches, but it's starting to come back. It started to come to pretty late in the season, and this is the result. Some of these branches here. So I'm hoping next year, put out in full sun. Hopefully it starts to branch out even more. Some of these pads are starting to get, pretty thick here, pretty wide. See, it's not that small. It's just I have to stand kind of far back to get it. It's still over 3.5 feet tall. I like this one because the kind of the bark is a whiter color than some of the other ones. Some of the other ones is kind of a brown bark. But this is one of my favorite plants, and I'm glad it's starting to come back. I just haven't had the time or energy to kind of take care of these plants as well as I would have wanted to. But they are doing pretty well by themselves, just putting outside, watering them when I need to, and they're very resilient plants. So I'm glad they don't require as much from me. There's I still got some other plants outside, but these are it was about to rain, and these are the ones that I didn't want to get. We've had some storms, so the soil's still kind of wet. So I brought it to the garage to get out of the rain. Hopefully the soil dries out mostly before I bring it in, because as you know, if you move it to a different spot outside, you've got wind and the warmth, and that evaporates faster. But when you bring it inside, you don't have a lot of airflow and the sun and stuff to help evaporate, so your soil is going to stay wet for a longer period of time. With succulents, that's when root rot, root disease, and anaerobic bacteria kind of attacks the plant. So you just got to think about all that stuff before you bring it in for winter. Again, with bugs, I will have to use a spray bottle and spray the bugs off these guys before I actually bring them in the house. And then these two I just got from my friend. It's just left here. Dragon fruit plant. I had a pretty big one, or I had a few really big dragon fruit plants, and that was probably a mistake. Well, I guess not really a mistake. I don't have the space anymore, so I want to keep a smaller plant. So I'm going to keep this guy relatively short, have a lot of branches, and my friend actually had something probably this tall with a lot of branching coming off of here, and he was able to get flowers and well, not fruit on that one. He had fruit on his bigger plant, but just to get flowers would be pretty nice. So gonna play around with that. And this other one, he grafted German Empress epiphyllum onto dragon fruit rootstock. So I really like the German Empress flowers. So hopefully this guy, produces flowers for me next year. Right now it's branching out pretty nicely. You can kind of see some of the new buds that are coming out. These cacti, if you leave them out a little longer and keep them in the cold, you will actually help them flower better. They need to kind of go through a simulated winter in order to induce flowering, but you can kind of see some of the damage. Stupid grasshoppers like to chew on this stuff. Really annoying, but what do you do? And it's kind of weird, it's kind of in the middle of a tarmac parking lot, and there's grasshoppers, and even squirrels come by and they'll eat some of my plants. I had a jujube plant that it ate all the way down to the base, but it's coming back. It's pretty resilient, so doing pretty well. I still got a couple of my bougainvilleas and a bunch of my chili plants outside that I'll be bringing in probably in a week or so. Those guys can stay out there a little bit longer. As long as it's not close to freezing temperatures, they should be fine. But yeah, that's just a quick update of some of the jade plants and plants that need to come inside a little sooner than the other plants. right, that's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions or you know the any real world questions to how you would take care of a plant, or what you need to do at a minimum, or if there's any tips or tricks to kind of keep the pest away, or you know if you don't have time to water or fertilize, what that's like, just drop me a line and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Again, haven't had the time or energy to put into these plants as I would like, but you know, doing my best to keep them at least, if not thriving, healthy and still growing. So that's all for now. Catch you guys later.